Hey there, I'm Bailey and welcome to my channel where we discuss all the tips and tricks necessary for you to live a life of adventure. Today we're going to be talking all about some of my favorite luxury items that I've taken on my past 3 thru-hikes and continue to take with me on my hike this summer. Now I do have to point out that of course, coming up with your gear list for any backpacking trip is all about balancing weight and what you can live without and things that make you happy. So of course, a lot of these things are really personal choice. This is just what makes me happy on my hikes and what I'm willing to carry as weight in my pack. Now, before we dive into my list, I do want to say too that if you are interested in getting more tips and tricks all about hiking and backpacking, then you might want to consider subscribing to my channel. All right, so luxury item number 1 is one that I kind of get made fun of on trail for sometimes, and that is carrying books. So this all started with carrying the 50th anniversary edition of The Lord of the Rings on the Colorado Trail. Now, as a disclaimer, I have actually never weighed my pack, and I definitely did not before the Colorado Trail. And I just recently weighed Lord of the Rings to find out how much it actually weighs, and it weighs a whopping 2 pounds and 10.4 ounces. That's like a whole entire tent. So obviously most books don't weigh this much. I specifically brought this because I'm a weird sentimental person, but there's a lot of other books out there that weigh less. You can make it weigh less by tearing out pages when you're done reading it or like mailing pages to yourself. Of course, a lot of people read books on their phones or bring Kindles and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of options within this category. I just think it's nice to have something to do when you're at camp, or especially if you're like me and you hike slow because you have dogs, then it's nice to have something to do during lunch or when you get to camp early. It's also nice to have something to do in town when you're taking zeros, especially if you're trying to avoid social media. Now, if you are not into reading books, there's plenty of other things you could bring instead, kind of to fill this category, and that would be something like Mad Libs. So if you're doing a social trail or going to be hiking with a partner, then you could bring that to play with each other. You could also bring like riddle cards. I met someone on the Colorado Trail that had riddle cards that they would read in the morning and spend the whole day trying to figure out the answer. You could also do something like bring a small game, so bring 6 die and play Farkle. There's a lot of options here, so that's just one thing. It's kind of hard to give you weight too, just because it's going to vary based off of what you bring. Now, the second thing on my list was a new item for me, and that is a backpacking umbrella. Now, this is kind of like a nice thing because it's more of like a comfort item as far as like it makes you more comfortable on the trail than it is like an entertainment type thing. So you could maybe make a case for saying that this is something that you should have, and especially if you are going to be hiking a desert trail like the Southern PCT, Southern CDT, or the Arizona Trail. But it really just depends, right? So for me, I found this umbrella to be super helpful because I used it in New Mexico hiking across the desert to provide shade for both me and my dogs when there were no trees to be found anywhere. And then I also used it to protect my dogs and I from hail and rain when we were hiking through the San Juans. Especially for the dogs, it was really nice to be able to give them shelter since they couldn't just like put on a rain jacket like I could. Now, there are a lot of different hiking umbrella options on the market. Mine personally is from Gossamer Gear, and if you are interested in, seeing how much it costs and everything, I'll definitely leave a link down in the description, along with a link to my gear list from the San Luis Loop. But there's plenty of other people that make hiking umbrellas as well. I think the Six Moons Designs one is a little bit lighter. The Gossamer Gear one weighs 8 ounces according to their website. And then of course, if you want to get the little like gear things to go with it so you can strap it to your pack so you can go you don't have to hold it, then that's obviously going to weigh a little bit more and cost a little bit more. All right, luxury item number 3 is a journal. So I personally on my hikes like to bring a water resistant journal. So I've been bringing the Write in the Rain journals. I've used the smaller ones like on the Colorado Trail and then the bigger versions on the last 2 trips. So I bring those with a pencil so I can write down my thoughts every night, things I saw, people I met, the date. And it's just really nice because I like to keep track of those things and be able to look back at them the following winter or reference my pictures to just make sure I know where I took them and that kind of thing. Now, I do recommend a pencil over a pen if you go this route, just because even though it's more likely to smudge, it's less likely to crap out on you on the trail. I tried a pen this year and it didn't work very well and I ended up using my pen as a spoon instead. If you are going to use a pencil, then maybe think about bringing a mechanical pencil or one where you can change the lead out. That way when it gets dull, you don't have to worry about that. Of course, there are, again, other options for a journal. You could just write on scratch paper. You just have to make sure it doesn't get wet. Or a lot of people will make voice memos in their phone or put notes in the little notes section on their phone. So it's really up to you. I like writing, and I think it's a little faster for me, even though it does take me a little bit of time. So that's just my personal preference. And maybe you don't want to take notes at all. So it's just up to you. So one of the luxury items that to me is kind of essential, but a lot of the ultralight peers will not bring it, would be camp shoes. So to me, if your feet aren't happy, then you're not going to be happy, especially on a thru hike. And especially when I've been like road walking or my feet get wet all the time, it's really important to make sure that my feet are getting aired out. Personally, I wear flip-flops a lot anyways in my everyday life. I'll wear them year round if I can get away with it. And so I personally enjoy being able to bring flip-flops or really light sandals with me on the trail to wear around camp so I can let my feet kind of air out and also let my shoes dry. Again, there are tons of different options, so it's kind of hard to give you a specific weight. I personally like to use the 99-cent flip-flops from Walmart. I've also used like these little foam sandals I found at Walmart that worked actually pretty well. Maybe you want to use like Tevas or Chacos, just know that those are going to cost quite a bit more, and I'm guessing they probably also weigh more. They're also going to be sturdier though and less likely to break down. The nice thing about camp shoes is in addition to wearing them around camp, you can also use them for fordings if you don't want your feet to get wet, and you can also use them as a backup in case you have any major problems with your shoes. Not common, of course, and you shouldn't pack for your fears, but it is nice to just have a backup, right? So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. People that don't bring camp shoes, what you can do instead is just take out the soles out of your shoes as well as your socks to let them dry, and then just wear the base of your shoes around camp if you need to go do something. And my last luxury item on this list is my favorite, and that is my dogs. So if you have never hiked with dogs, then I really suggest that you kind of get in the mindset that hiking with a dog is like hiking with the heaviest luxury item that you could bring with you. Even if they can help carry some of their stuff, you're probably going to have to carry the rest. For me, because my dogs don't personally carry packs on long distance hikes, that means I end up carrying food, I end up carrying their water, I carry a bigger tent than I would otherwise, I carry their quilt, I carry their toys, I carry their foot care and first aid items and anything else we need, bowls, all sorts of things. Their dog poop. It really adds up after a while. For example, when I hiked across northern New Mexico this summer, I ended up carrying 9 liters of water for me and my dogs. So that is really, really heavy, right? Not to mention that my dogs need about 5,000 calories of food a day between the two of them, and since I have fed kibble in the past, that really adds up pretty quickly. That's about 7 or more cups of kibble per day, times 7 days. That's like 35 cups. It's a lot. It is not a light thing. So you have to be pretty dedicated and know that unless you really have mad skills that I don't know about, you're probably never going to be a true ultralight hiker if that is your goal if you are hiking with dogs. I personally have just kind of accepted the fact that I'll be pretty light, but not ultralight when I'm taking my dogs with me. And that's fine. Like I said, I don't really wear my pack, but it's just something that you should, make sure you're okay with before you leave on your hike. Now, of course, the benefit to hiking with dogs is they provide love, they're nice and warm and keep you warm in your sleeping bag, and they keep you from getting lonely, right? So it makes my heart happy to see my dogs running around and be able to see these beautiful vistas and places with them with me instead of having to wish that, that they were there because they're at home with my family or that kind of thing. So to me, I'm more than happy to carry their stuff, but it does add up to quite a bit. Probably, 5 pounds at least. I can't tell you for sure, but it's a lot. And of course, I do have to say that I have other stuff in my pack that could probably be classified as luxury items like my camera, equipment, and that kind of thing. And there's plenty of other things you could bring instead. You just have to find what floats your boat and makes you happy on your hike and kind of, balance out the good from the bad. Now, if you are trying to figure out a way to cut weight from your pack so that you can carry those luxury items, then I highly suggest that you check out this video next. It's some quick and easy and cheap tips to cut just a little bit of weight out of your pack. Now, I'd love to hear what sort of luxury items you're thinking about taking on your next thru hike down in the comments, and if you have found this video to be helpful, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up. It just lets me know that I should keep making more videos just like this one. All right, so I'll see you guys over at the next video, and have happy trails.